Good morning, everybody. How are you? I'm doing good. I'm doing good. I feel good. I have dreams, but I haven't remembered them the last couple nights, so that's cool. So yeah, I had an epiphany yesterday. And that epiphany was that I'm bowing out of all of these debates on Facebook regarding the president stuff because we have checks and balances. We have elections every 4 years, every 8 years, different presidents. It's like, and we have a government that has the different branches of government to do the checks and balances. So that way I don't have to go and try to galvanize all my people and take over. No, we have a system that's in place for a reason. And so I may gravitate towards a specific candidate, and that's it. That's as far as I'm taking it. So it's like, whatever. So I'm totally over the whole leaders and who's corrupt and who's not. So it is what it is. So anyways, in the beginning, when I first started the protocol, I was, of course, in the holistic allopathic world. And yeah, I was in pain. When you're growing up in this world, it is freaking painful. And dying is painful too. So you have to understand where pain comes from. Pain is when the body is learning how to adapt to its environment, as well as the child learn how to adapt to the society it was thrust into without its permission. Okay? Kids are not asked to be born. They are born and now they are forced to adapt. And they have to survive because now that they're alive, they have to survive. All right? And it's painful. I mean, do you remember when you were a kid and when you learned when things were hot and you touched a hot stove and oh my God, it hurt and you pulled back and then you had a mark there and your mom put some kind of medicine on it and then you learned that you don't touch hot things. You learned that you don't cross the street without looking both ways because then someone's going to yell at you. You got to look both ways before you cross the street. I mean, how painful was it to grow? Like when you're going through growing pains and your legs and your joints hurt as a child. I remember that. I remember how sick I was as a child too. I mean, coming from a war-torn country like Vietnam, already war is painful. And then coming to America, which I was a baby, I was 15 months. So it wasn't like I had to really do too much assimilation, but I still had to learn how to speak. I still had to learn how to eat. I still had to learn how to then grow up in a society where it's not a friendly society. I mean, people will teach you the ways of the world, whether you like it or not. And that's painful. Being a teenager was painful. Wanting to push my boundaries, wanting to do this and that. And my mom's like, no, you can't because of this, this, and this. And then sometimes you learn the hard way. Sometimes physically you get hurt. Sometimes mentally you get hurt. Sometimes spiritually, emotionally, hormonally you get hurt. And it's painful. And then that experience then teaches you what life is about. And that's why we see people with such, narrow points of view because of the fact of how much pain they went through growing up. Now imagine at some point where you're not degrading, you're not like cognitively unaware, but you're like, in your 40s or in your 50s and you learn so much. You've made all your mistakes. You have been through the ringer, but you've come out great. You survived your childhood. You survived your teen years. You survived your 20s. That says a lot considering people do die in those years, in those formative years. Now you've learned everything. And then all of a sudden you're seeing your body degrade. Not all of a sudden, it's been happening because people in our society do not know how to regenerate their cells enough to prolong their life and then potentially live indefinitely. And then you start seeing you're going bald, you're graying, you're forgetting stuff. You have aches and pains and all these things. And then we have the holistic allopathic system, the cult of pain mitigation. And then you have all these spiritual groups that play with the chakras, do the meditation, do the Reiki, the massage stuff, the chiropractor stuff, okay? And so you have offshoots of pain mitigation. And so when I first started the protocol, I came from that world of where there were so many different ways to run away from pain. There was drugs on the street, cigarettes, there was dance clubs, there was sex, there was, what else? hanging out with friends all the time where you can never be alone. There was having babies because you thought that that was a way to get rid of the loneliness that you had. There's so many ways, and then joining groups, joining self-help groups, getting counseling, getting therapies, yeah, going to retreats and taking ayahuasca and playing with your hormones. I mean, there's a million things out there that will cater to a person running away from the pain. And so when you run away from the pain, you stop learning. So when you're on drugs like cannabis, or when you're taking your prescription drugs because you haven't learned how to actually implement the right protocols, you stop the learning process. Okay, because now you're just taking drugs to mask the pain, which is the body trying to heal. You're not willing to learn what it actually means. And so then more pain happens, more degradation happens. And then when you're 40 and you know basically almost everything because you are well-rounded for the most part, I'm assuming, you know how the world works, at least in your town, in your circle of people. And now you're finding you're losing your faculties. You're losing, rotation in your arms, you're losing your hair, you're losing your skin elasticity, you're seeing a lot of your organs degrade, and you're seeing major symptoms as well as pain. Okay? And then guess what? There are so many drugs, so many holistic protocols, so many cult leaders, gurus that will tell you, I have the way to get rid of your pain. Or the afterlife is so amazing. Just look forward to the afterlife. What you're doing today on this earth is now going to be predicated on how it is that your afterlife is going to be. And then also characterizing children as some evil spirits from the past. I mean, I was watching this documentary today from this guy, Sergio, whatever his name is, out of Australia. I watch a lot of Australian news shows. For some reason, Australia has they have a lot of news shows with hardly any commercials, but they cover stories in that whole continent. And it's just like America, but I mean, it's more compact because it's on this big, huge island or continent, okay? Not really island, but it's a continent. And they have cult leaders, they have true crime, they have so many different news stories and it's just like America, but it's from the perspective of Australia. And there is a cult leader out there called like Universal Medicine, where he charges people and then he's applying some kind of pain mitigation as well as giving people the meaning of life. Like saying, okay, this is the meaning of your life. This is why you're alive. And then also characterizing or then giving people, some kind of idea of what death is, and then giving them pain protocols, touching them, coaching them. Very charismatic leaders. And then they have this reporter who is just like a pit bull. Oh my God. He will not leave this cult leader alone. And I'll tell you, I wish I had a reporter that was at my doorstep asking me questions. Oh no reporters want to go to my doorstep because if they actually heard what I had to say, it would put the whole system to shame. No, what goes on with the Jeju's world is we have reporters that'll write stuff and then they'll mischaracterize it and they won't record the interview. No, they'll just base what I say with their writing. They'll just spin what I say, but they won't actually interview me on a long-term basis where I can get all of my thoughts and ideas out. But I did record that one with BuzzFeed, but that was very early on in the protocol, so I probably wouldn't want to use that as an example of the Jeju's protocol. But now today, I wish that a reporter would be hounding on my door, knocking, saying, hey, you belong to a cult, blah, blah, blah. I want to speak to you. I want to ask you a bunch of questions. Can we talk? And let's do an extensive interview. But then there are people out there that want me to do it through the internet, where they have people writing in and calling in and then wanting to harass. So I won't even do it that way. But this guy who has been, who's been indicted who's been already, well, there, yeah, I was watching it half-heartedly, but he already has gone to court and has already had people with lawsuits against him for what he was doing. And so, anyways, and so this is what I'm up against, is those people who are coaching people, touching people, making promises on what their protocol, their ideas are going to do for them, talking about the afterlife. So they still believe in death. And that's the whole cult of pain mitigation, is that pain is learning. And once you actually learn, the pain is gone. But taking a drug or having somebody manipulate your chakras and throwing crystals at someone is not how you learn why the human body has the pain to begin with. All you're doing is just finding different ways to shut the body down. And there's a million ways to do that. People do it all the time. Okay? And so when you have the medical system, the holistic system, all of these cult leaders that have some kind of protocol or some kind of medicine or some kind of belief system of the afterlife, or they claim immortality, but not the body, only the mind and the spirit, or actually only the spirit, then it doesn't matter what the hell you do if you're going to die anyways. And so that is the draw of the cult of pain mitigation, because people don't want to learn for whatever reason. And I think it's because of cognitive blockages. And then people also don't want to face the pain because they still want to go do their job. They still want to go hang out with their friends. They still want to have the lifestyle they've had without changing anything, really. I mean, people, yeah, they change their diet. Okay, big deal. You know how many diets that are out there? Okay. And so it's very easy to put out a pain mitigation protocol. But then this is why the AMA and the CDC and the FDA are around, is because there are so many pain protocols out there that are actually detrimental on bodies that can't handle it. Okay? Now, if you wait until the last 11th hour and you're in hospice trying to apply any protocol, you're screwed no matter what, unless you can handle facing the pain. And if you get to a point where you're in hospice, you have proven to yourself that you will not deal with pain to the point of where you're basically at death's door, where the system can't do shiz for you. So when you're in hospice, forget it. There's no way you're going to face the pain because you haven't faced it the last however many years you've been trying to run away from it, utilizing, you know, cannabis and other detoxes and manipulations. I mean, I have been pursued by so many different cult leaders in the energy healing world that really won't take my protocol on because it would mean they would have to actually face the pain. It's easier to paint a really rosy picture of immortality and, oh, ayahuasca, let's drug out the mind so you can go to a different plane because really your life here on earth is only temporary. Oh, it's so easy to do that. But when you actually have to face the pain, it's not pretty and it doesn't make any money. Because how many of you want to be in pain during your day? None of you. You guys will pay so much money for a drug, for some magical hands that go and manipulate your body in some way, or for sex, because sex is also a pain mitigation tool. I mean, what else is it? Oh yeah, the drugs, of course, all the different strains of marijuana. I mean, this is why marijuana has been legalized, because we have so many people that don't want to deal with pain. And they're willing to go over the cliff. And then there's cults that get started. So, you know, people want to characterize me as a cult, but you realize that cults are based on it's a brainwashing, yes. It is, I mean, no, they're not forcing people to stay there, but they are making promises and they are doing things to make a person want to come in. And when you pleasure someone in some way, or when you make promises of make promises of what's going to be like in the afterlife, or say, hey, this is the meaning of life, because people are searching for the meaning of life. Because I think humanity is so so confused of why they're on this earth and then why they're dying. What's the point of living and dying? Is the point of this lifetime is to go to work for some corporation and give your minerals to some dude that makes billions of dollars, only to die when you're 60 and give your social security way back to the government? That's not a life that people think is really the true meaning of life. And so when someone says, hey, I know the true meaning of life, and I know what's going to happen when you die, and I have a way to pleasure you and a way to mask the pain of learning, the pain of life, people are gravitating towards that. And yes, cancer patients, as well as those that are so tired of their sicknesses, they will give top dollar for somebody who has the magic bullet, whatever that is. And that literally is the truth, the magic bullet. And so this is why then, as far as the YouTube influencers, why it's so popular having a YouTube channel with your whole divine, oh yes, this is the meaning of life, and this is, and the spirit is going to do this, and if you manipulate your chakra this way, even though I don't have to touch you, I could teach you how to manipulate yourself, type of thing. And I've had people approach me wanting me so bad to get into that world, and I feel these red flags, and I'm like, oh hell no, oh hell no. Or when I'm going through an issue or a healing, and someone says, hey, I have something for you to stop that pain, then I know exactly where they're coming from. Okay, I know exactly where, and that's when I put the brakes on and I separate myself. So if you guys see me step away from certain people in my life the last like 3 years, it's those types of people that want to mitigate the pain. They're part of the cult of pain mitigation. Okay, the real true healing is facing the pain. When you're growing up, it's painful. You think learning shit is easy? No, it's not. You make mistakes. People tell you, they admonish you, and it's painful to get that kind of feedback. You know how painful it was for me bringing this protocol out and learning how to deal with rolling this out the proper way, the legal way, the diplomatic way, I guess. It's freaking painful, but guess what? I knew that I had to deal with this pain. I had to deal with my government. I had to deal with the trolls. I had to deal with the media. I had to deal with my own husband, who was still going like, what the hell? But then he finally kind of gets it, but still he's still on the fence as far as the whole indefinite life thing, which I completely understand. It's a real huge thing to try to even grasp, but when you've been told your whole life that at some point you're going to die, and then you have all the evidence around you that people are dying. Okay, so I mean, but still, I see the evidence that eventually when you do face the pain, it won't be there anymore. But you have to face it before you can have that privilege of having now a relatively pain-free life, unless you're going to go into an environment that's very aggressive that the body has to adapt to. Adaptation is painful. When you do the J juice, you know how painful it is, because your body now has to adapt to a new environment because it's been so used to being polluted by all your pain mitigation protocols that it finally has to heal. But yet you guys are still very busy with your life. You don't want to give time to your healing, and then you're wondering why it is that you're degrading and things are going awry. And it's because you haven't given the time to actually learn and heal. And it's painful. Okay? You can't escape the pain if you want to live. Now, that's why there's so many protocols out there, so many cults that claim all this miracle stuff, the magic bullets, because if they believe in death anyways, then it won't matter what protocol you apply yourself to. It won't matter. It's just how much pleasure can you get without dying? How much poison can you put in your body without dying? That's exactly what the cult of pain mitigation is how much poison can you put in your body without actually dying, where you can get rid of the pain and you can be in euphoria and play with your hormones, play with your biochemistry, and see stars and see colors, and then say, hey, you saw God, and then you go and write about it. And that's exactly what it is that we're dealing with, is those types of people that I'm staying away from. And that's why I get such a flip When someone loves me, loves me, loves me, loves me, and then I call them on their shit, and then they hate me, hate me, hate me, because I know exactly what they were doing, and I walked away. And it's very difficult to walk away from someone's manipulations, especially when they try to ensnare you in their cult of pain mitigation. And so that's why I get a lot of flack from the medical industry. That's why I get a lot of flack from some of these energy healing groups that try to pull me into their fold. That's why I get a lot of flack from the holistic naturopathics, because they know exactly what they're doing subconsciously. Because it's all about running away from the pain. It's all about applying as many drugs and as many poisons as possible without dying. And that's why we have the government to regulate this, so you don't have a Dr. Sebi claiming that he can cure cancer and applying massive amounts of herbs on a body that can't handle it and then killing people. That's why we have the government, because we have too many people who are getting way too creative because they're so freaking desperate. But then, yes, I came from that world and I was very desperate and I was very creative. But I knew that if I applied anything in the holistic world, anything in the allopathic world, as far as their protocols, I'd be screwed. So I had to find something to understand why things are what they are. And then when people from different pain mitigation cults try to pull me in, and then I see how they respond to my healing process, I know exactly where they're coming from, and I walk away. And it's difficult to walk away from someone who claims to be love, 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 and I'm like coming off like, holy crap. And yeah, you need to have negative and positive elements in your body so you can draw boundaries. Some of you have to learn how to draw boundaries. Some of you have not learned that. Some of you are way too nice and way too like understanding and will allow people to keep crossing your boundaries. Some people won't learn. Some people refuse to learn. I had somebody in my group that actually finally had to release, because I said, okay, we really don't give advice on how to deal with, symptoms, but someone was asking, how do you use the J juice protocol? At first, I think she posted somewhere else where I kind of react a little bit, like, because she was talking about trying to get rid of mucus, and you don't get rid of mucus. You allow mucus to flow until the body is able to balance itself out yet to where you can handle that food supply, assuming it's FDA approved or fruit and vegetable. But no, she posed in some way where someone gave advice, oh yeah, you use this saline solution, and gave the brands and said, oh yeah, then you can refill it with pink salt and water. And I freaking came unglued. It's the same person that kept wanting to bring in other protocols that I said explicitly not to do several different times. And the person still did it in my old website. And I was trying to be understanding, and I'm like, okay, I get it. You're in this transition. Let me try to coach you in not giving advice on how to manage symptoms utilizing holistic allopathic remedies, because we're not doctors. But if somebody wants to find ways to help with mucus with the J juice, fine. People do neti pots and whatever. They snort the juice or something, whatever. But no, he had to go and say, yeah, use pink Himalayan salt and water, or utilize this stuff in this thing. And I said, you know what? I'm done. I am not going to coach you in stopping you from recommending holistic allopathic over-the-counter drugs for symptoms. I'm done. But some people wanted to think, somebody was like trying to understand where he's coming from. Well, he said he was going to use pink salt and da-da-da. Sorry, but this is not a salt freaking protocol. This is not a pink Himalayan salt wash. We're not doing Sole or Sol or however the hell you pronounce it. And he didn't even mention using the J juice as a way to help with the mucus in the nose. So I'm done. If you're going to compartmentalize the ingredients of the recipe, instead of understanding the full chemical process that's aligned with the biochemistry of the body, you don't get it. You'll never get it. I'm not going to at all work with you anymore or have you part of my group. I don't really work with anybody except for Kevin and Bridget and Lillian. And that's because we're just trying to get day-to-day stuff done. Lillian takes care of moderating in my emails. Kevin is writing the book and taking my notes and trying to formulate in a way that's better than I do. And then Bridget is just kind of like supporting me in all this. Okay. But I don't work with anyone personally. I don't do any coaching. I don't touch anybody. I don't take anybody's money. Okay. And so my group is there for people to then just reflect back what their experiences are. And that's it. Okay? And so sometimes you have to be mean. You have to set boundaries, tough love. And some of you haven't figured it out yet because you want to be nice to everybody. You don't want to be the bad guy, but that is to the detriment of that person and to you. So eventually some of you are going to have to get a backbone at some point and put your freaking boundaries down. And that does take time. But when you come from a world where it was all about pain mitigation, you have messed up your body in such a way where you don't have those boundaries, where you're going to allow someone to walk in kind of and upset the homeostasis and not do anything about it, especially if it's affecting you in a negative way. Okay? So yeah, so I was really, when I was watching that video, and that guy, I mean, when somebody is aging and they're balding and they're obese in some way, I hate to say that I know it seems rather superficial and maybe offensive that I mention their body parts as well as the shape of their body and all this stuff. But if you are in the health and wellness world and you still believe in death, what the hell are you doing in this world of health and wellness? Especially if you don't like the medical system. If death is a belief system that you believe, then what makes your protocol that much better than the holistic allopathic world or the allopathic prescription drug world? What makes your ayahuasca and your chakra healing that much better? Because you're still manipulating hormones. You're still making promises that you really can't keep. You're still snowing people into thinking that they can live a pain-free life without really having to apply the right elements. Okay? I mean, it's very insidious how many cults that are out there. And Jilly Juice is not a cult because we're inducing pain, we're making no promises, we don't charge millions of dollars, and we don't play with drugs. And we don't have a diet that is so horrific for the rest of your life. The diet is very temporary. Okay? Very temporary. And we are allowing you to make the decision. We're not bringing you into some center and then pounding you with info. Everything is done publicly. That's why I do it on social media, because that way everybody can watch. I know the secret public Facebook group is out there for people to see. It's not like easy to search. It's through invite only, but do I know the intentions of my members? No, people screenshot stuff in there all the time. They take my videos in there that I may do specially in there, but I know that any video I do there is going to get out anyways, and someone takes it, downloads it, and then goes post it on YouTube. Okay, fine. I don't care. Okay, but no, and then we don't charge $1,500 to come join us in some, retreat where we do wampum and medicine circles. No, we don't do that. We're like, hey, here's some nutrition. Understand it, understand your body, understand why your body does what it does. Here's the pain is going to happen. Yes, you can find everything out there in the system to go and help manage the pain while you're healing. And then, yeah, do what you got to do. Live your life. There is no like premonitions or any kind of characterization that the afterlife is going to be like, we're not even looking at the afterlife. There is no afterlife. When you're dead, you're dead. Yeah, your spirit can float around based upon what kind of biochemistry, but that's not the whole J-Juice protocol, is not living to die. But that definitely is in the holistic allopathic cult of pain mitigation world. The chakra healings, the spiritual healers, and all that stuff. That is their whole MO, is that you're going to die someday. So let me find a way to make your exit from this world as easy as possible. And then you stop the learning. And so, yeah, when older people, when they're in that much pain and they're dealing with all of their cancer disease and chronic illness and all that stuff, they lost the learning process. Oh, they'll learn certain things. But anything that challenges their thought process on living indefinitely, considering that they buried their parents not too long ago, that's where the learning stops. Because they don't want to face the pain of generations, as well as the last 60 years of their life, of all the mess ups they've ever done, especially if they claim to be so healthy. So it's easier to die and say, yeah, I hold fast to my belief system. I don't have to, and then if I were to live, then it would prove everything that I believed in was wrong. No, so it's easier to die for some people because it's they're too far gone in their world, and it would then negate everything they ever believed in. And then they have to say, oh yeah, Julian was right. And God forbid, people will go to their grave wrong than be alive right. Okay? They would rather do that. And that's fine. That's one less person I have to deal with, undermining me in insidious ways. So yeah, there's so many cults out there because it's all about pain mitigation and playing with drugs and playing with your hormones and then keeping you on such restrictive diets forever. Not saying that, hey, one day you'll be able to eat whatever the hell you want without worrying about gluten or worrying about fat or worrying about food coloring or chemicals. Okay? There will be a day where you actually can adapt to any condition of the environment so easily to where you won't have to try to avoid something unless it's that, like I won't walk into a war zone. Yeah, I'm sure if it ever happened, I would adapt to it, but nobody can live and thrive in a war zone. Obviously not, because people die, death and chaos. It's a war zone in your body when you actually are on the death trajectory. Watch your friends who are dealing with cancer, stage 4, stage 5, hospice. It's a war zone in their body. Look at the politics. Look at all the different interest groups, the eco-terrorists. It's a war zone out there, and people aren't living very long, and they're so afraid of their environment, okay? But at some point, you'll be able to adapt to relatively peaceful, stable environments without having to take drugs or play with your chakras, okay? And so that's the point, Jadris, is that you'll be able to finally adapt and be very effective in whatever you put your mind to. I mean, that's really the whole point of J-Juice, is that no matter what, you're going to live on this earth, you're going to pay your taxes, because even when you die, life still goes on. So you might as well just live, pay your taxes, abide by the law. If you have kids, teach them well, put food on the table, try to help your fellow man live, you know, indefinitely too, because you don't want to be alone on this earth, okay? Or if you be part of groups that understand that you're going to be living a while, because if you're part of groups that people are dying, then you'll be the only one. And this is where the cult leaders out there are not talking about J-Juice, but then are doing J-Juice. And then in the next 10 years or 5 years, and they're looking great. Like I can see a cult leader doing the J-Juice, but not saying they're doing the J-Juice, but they understand the J-Juice, but they realize that there's money in people who are desperate, who are dying. And so if they look the part, they look young and they look vibrant and they're growing their hair, but yet they have people that are part of their cult that are not getting those benefits and they're dying, at some point the truth is going to come out. But yeah, they're going to have 5 or 10 years of deception until people figure out that, why is everybody dying in your cult, but you're the only one living? And then that could be then a red flag, but that's not down the road, till down the road. Luckily, I was on Dr. Phil. They know that the J-Juice protocol talks about living indefinitely. So there's going to be some people who are going to be prolonging their life, whether it be outliving their coworkers, outliving their family members who are younger than them. That's going to be the kicker, is when you have a daughter that you're outliving, because your daughter is 60 or 70 and you're like 100 and something, okay? That's going to be the kicker. But that's why the J-Juice is not like the cult of pain mitigation, because it's going to take a minute for you guys to see the results, because you actually have to put forth the work and the understanding and deal with the pain and learn, okay? This is not some magical cure of ayahuasca and some drug or something that the FDA has to approve. No, this is about actually facing the pain and healing your body at the same time with a specific measurable result of living indefinitely. And these are ingredients that your body already has to begin with. I mean, when your body has amino acids, fatty acids, okay, acid, prohormones, which the nutrients support in the cabbage and kale, and then the minerals. In the pink Himalayan salt has trace minerals along with the electrolytes. Electrolytes are minerals. The body needs all of that. And then you have imbalances in your body that you have to have a discrimination diet, because if you're taking so much sugar and so many spicy foods, that's full of acid. So kimchi and kombucha and apple cider vinegar is acidic. It is so acid based that if you already have lactic acidosis, which most of you do have, okay, taking apple cider vinegar and kombucha and kimchi and spicy foods and jalapenos are going to then contribute more to an acid imbalance and destroy your body. So you have to mitigate those things, do the J juice, because J juice does have lactic acid in it, but it's balanced out with the electrolytes, the minerals. And then it has the micro and macro nutrition, okay? And it has obviously the minerals, the electrolytes, and it has water. And it has the nutrients that support the hormones, the vitamin A, B, C, D, E, F, G. Okay? Hey, Tiffany. And so this is why I get so like, I try to vet out those that are in the different holistic worlds, because they are about pain mitigation. And when it's about pain mitigation, you're not really taking in the nutrients, and you're going to have to really change your business model. And that's very difficult for those that have invested in pain mitigation. Whether it's chakras, whether it's psychotherapy, psychology, whatever, any kind of therapy is a pain mitigation. But with the J juice, you're taking in elements that are totally aligned with the human body, understanding what pain is. It's the prostaglandin hormone coming to surface, finally healing. And then you have other hormones that finally get suppressed the way they should. Okay, but first you got to deal with the body trying to regulate itself. So yeah, you're going to have your hormone fluctuations go all up and down, okay, until your body gets regulated. And that's based upon bringing in the right nutrients and avoiding other types of elements until you get your body well balanced. And then the mucus lets you know exactly where you stand, especially with the food supply. That's why people have to understand why mucus exists. It is a barometer to let you know the state that your body's in based upon your lifestyle from the past, present, and potentially future. And so what do people do? They take NyQuil, they take Mucinex to dry up the mucus. When the mucus is trying to release the excess, that which is causing you harm and imbalances, and you guys are trying to swallow it and have it dry up in the system, reinfecting it, then causing more imbalances. When you're really, if you have a symptom because your body is weak and you're exposed to an element, whether through food or air, the body's trying to release it, and then you're finally allowing it, then you're going to see the body be able to adapt and regulate. But if you're continuously getting mucus and you're getting anaphylaxis and all this stuff, then you have a very weak system and a problem that even letting it go do its mucus thing is not going to help you, because you're not bringing in the right elements. So simply not doing anything either can be very detrimental for those that have major weaknesses. So no matter what, if somebody's not going to bring in the right nutrition, they're going to have to turn to Western medicine, pain mitigation cults, like the medical system, as well as the holistic system, or those alternative chakra healing type of systems, okay? But if you actually bring in the right elements, you will then see, yes, you'll see mucus come out. When people start doing the J juice protocol, they're going to see mucus come out of their ass. They're going to have mucus come out of their nose. When they're doing the waterfalls, which is the body inducing autophagy, where the body is now purging out and disassembling mutated cells, so that way new cells can come in and grow. And then yes, pain is involved. And you have to make room for the pain/learning experience. Just like when you grew up as a child, learning was painful. And then when you're on the death trajectory, you're learning that the life that you led is causing you to die. Even if you're Ginsburg, age 95, and you've had a great life, you're a Supreme Court judge forever, doesn't mean that you're going to learn that maybe you could be Supreme Court judge forever, if you applied the right elements, and then you could be on that bench till the end of time. But, you know, people don't think of it that way. They're like, oh yeah, I had a great life. I have a degree. I'm in this great job, and I'm such a mover and shaker, and I've been so productive my whole life. And people are producing themselves out of existence. They're smoking themselves out of existence. They're distracting themselves out of existence. They are drugging themselves out of it. I mean, yeah. And that is our society. So when someone says to me, oh yeah, Julian, you should be going to work every single day and throwing this and doing that. And I'm like, I'm working. No, it's not just doing some mindless paper pushing. or picking up sticks or whatever the hell that's out there that's out here in Ohio. I'm doing a job that is probably way more effective, that doesn't waste my minerals on something that gives me no return. Okay, now as far as monetary return on this, I have a book, and I have another book coming out that Kevin is working on that I'm also going to edit it too, but not edit to where I'm editing all of his voice out, but just to make sure that the voice in there is the correct voice that we want. Because I know he comes from the energy healing world, and I understand that, but I also want to make sure that this is not, we're not doing pain mitigation. People have to understand what the J juice is. It's finally learning that your body needs to go through these different things to heal, because we have been allowing our predecessors to brainwash us into dying, not because they are, nefarious, because that's all they know. They don't know about this. Yes, you were finally, I tell you 10 flicks about you. What? Oh, okay, I see what you're saying. So yeah, so no, I work every single day. I get up early. I'm working every single moment. I'm trying to find ways to say the same thing in a different way to reach different people, because people have different listenings. But no, this is not a traditional way to work. No, it's not. But some people think that being so productive and going and serving this and doing that and whatever, it keeps society going, but doesn't mean that everyone should be doing that. Some have different gifts, like teaching or like inventing, creating, okay, and learning and all of that. So, there's many ways to work in this world. But some people want to be so busy, then they stop the learning process and they want to keep with their lifestyle. So they take the drugs, so it stops them from learning really what it means to actually be healthy. And then they partake in the mainstream way of doing things, such as yoga and exercise and aerobics and walking, and like, discipline is when you run like 10 miles a day and something, or you run a marathon in like 5 minutes. That isn't, torturing yourself and breaking your muscles down is not discipline. It's torture. But we have characterized torturing our bodies through exercise and aerobics and yoga and stretching and hot yoga and saunas as some kind of discipline. Because pain, yes, needs to happen, but you're not supposed to damage yourself and then deal with it. That's not the point of J juice, is we're not damaging ourselves and inducing pain and then dealing with it and then call it healing. That's like problem, reaction, solution. The medical holistic industry and the exercise industry is all about, let's create the problem. Let's just have everybody exercise to death and be productive for the rest of their life, right? Be so productive in such a way where it's not really giving them any learning. And then they're damaging themselves. And then now we're healing them. That's the real true Hegelian dialectic, if you really want to bring in that concept, is that, oh yeah, when you're doing yoga and you're doing all these hot yogas and stretches and Tai Chis, and you're basically losing all of your body weight and you're losing everything, and you still have cancer, disease, and chronic illness, and you're aging, and then we're going to apply all these protocols, okay, and say that now we're going to heal you. So, damaging your body and then healing it and then saying, okay, it's okay to die. That is the cult of pain mitigation. That really is. So, and then of course, taking part in all these political debates and all that stuff. And I'm just like, I'm over it. If it comes to a point where everybody's being rounded up and going on to trains and to concentration camps, then yes, collectively we'll all rise up. But if I can walk to my mailbox, go into my car, pick up my husband, pay my bills, whatever, I'm fine. I don't care who's president. If there's certain things that I say, okay, I would want this to happen, then I might vote for that person. It's really not that difficult in our electric system. There really isn't. So I'm done with all of those debates and stuff, because it really is just people just spewing out their hormones and they're not getting anything back from it. And then they pass away and then try to take part in all the cult of pain mitigation protocols that are out there. So yeah. So that's really it. But yeah, the J juice, I mean, the diet is reflective of the imbalances the body has already sustained. So if you have an acid imbalance, it doesn't make sense to take in a massive amount of spices, because what spices are is a condensed amount of minerals. That's what spices are. It's just everything is made up of minerals and elements, okay? Everything is elemental. Everything is chemistry. So just because I call it garlic doesn't mean that, yeah, it's minerals. People want to call it heavy metals, but why they call it heavy metals is because they have a mineral imbalance. And so they have, and then what they do with these mineral imbalances, if they have minerals that are overabundant or heavy metal toxicity, what is so asinine in the holistic industry is they're prescribing people with zeolite or bentonite clay to do a heavy metal detox. You know what those are? Aluminum silicate. You know what aluminum is? It's a very heavy metal. Aluminum. It's what the holistic industry is trying to demonize when they're saying, oh yeah, all the chemicals in the cookware, so stay away from aluminum foil and aluminum this and aluminum that. And they're taking freaking zeolite. They're taking bentonite clay, and that's aluminum silicate. Silica is like diatomaceous earth. So it's another thing that people are taking in the holistic world that is overabundant, that is causing imbalances in the body. But that is the cult of pain mitigation, is to find ways to poison the body without killing it. That's exactly what the holistic allopathic industry does, is how much of a poison can you take without actually dying? And then people get pleasure from it too, because then when the body is going through duress, it does bring up the pleasure hormone and the adrenaline hormone, like oxytocin and all that, and serotonin, dopamine, and all that. And then they go and get addicted to sex and addicted to drugs and addicted to the tawdry things, and then they go and have to go and the clubs and smoke cigarettes and go to the bars. And I mean, that's exactly a body in duress when they feel they have to turn to those types of things. It's a kind of it's a drug. It's when people are in pain, they turn to so many different things to distract them from the pain. Because yes, when you're not bringing in the right elements, you're going to turn to things that will cover up the pain. So even though it's not yoga or eating organic, but drinking is no different than eating organic. Drinking alcohol and eating organic are really the same thing, because it's people trying to mitigate pain and trying to cover it up, and it's not really facing truly the root cause of it all. Okay? So, I mean, when people are eating vegan and vegetarian and organic, they're now starving themselves. They already have a body that cannot break down the food. I mean, you have stomach acids that's supposed to break down the food, but obviously you have lactic acidosis or other types of issues, or not enough, okay, lactic acid. So then your body can't break stuff down. So that's why when I first did the protocol, when I first started doing it way back in 2016, I was taking my drink after every meal, which was like a lot. I mean, it was like 2 cups after every. So I was doing like 6 cups a day. That's where, initially those of you that have been following me for a while, that's where the 6 cups a day came in, because I was drinking 2 cups after every meal. And I was doing about 3 meals a day, because that's what my body was calling for at the time. Now with my body that's so streamlined and so efficient, that I really only like 1 or 2 meals a day, and they're not even that big. And then it also comes out the next day too, in like strata. I can see exactly when I ate something and what it was. Not that it's like in different colors, but I can see how it, what it looks like, the substance, the context. No, I forget. I don't know how you say it, but what it looks like. So yeah. So anyways, so that's how efficient my system is. But in the beginning, you guys are going to be still, transitioning onto the J-Juice protocol. You're going to feel the pain. You're going to see, I mean, a guy on my Facebook, he's doing it. He's like in his 60s or so, his beard, and he's older, but yeah, herpes is coming up. Cold sores are coming up. All these different things are coming to surface because, yeah, these viruses, here's the thing. You are surrounded by viruses. No matter what, you can't get away from viruses. They are in your community. They are in your household. They're in your body. They're in your partner's body. They're in your kids. They're everywhere. Okay, they're in the vaccines. All right, and then minerals are everywhere. Mercury is everywhere. Aluminum is everywhere. Nitrogen is everywhere. All these things are everywhere. Okay, so you can't get away from elements. But if you have an imbalance in your body, then yeah, you're going to see then these viruses that do have names then turn into symptoms because a body isn't strong enough to handle what I would say the message from that virus. Okay, and so that's why a strong body or a weak body will either derive benefit or have a risk of cancer based upon the exposure. And some of you have so many antibodies in your body because you've been exposed to so many viruses, which we all do, but your body's also weaker. And so you have more antibodies trying to destroy your exposure, because you're exposed to this stuff all the time. And then those antibodies take over and also cause the aging process, and then the mineral depletion. Okay, so it's not even just the antibodies taking over and agglutinating, turning into the actual virus, like let's say from HIV to AIDS, but also then when the body's going through triage, biochemical triage, and what that is when the body is not absorbing the nutrients in the food supply because you have malabsorption, it then steals minerals from your bones. And this is why you see osteoporosis in older women, because of years and years and years of malabsorption and applying the wrong protocols to the body, that is then causing malabsorption, such as apple cider vinegar for indigestion, okay? And then the body progressively becomes worse. And this is why you see people aging, because they have malabsorption. They cannot negotiate the food supply, and their body is so ineffective and inefficient that even though, yes, they are still living, but they're dying, because it's progressively, when the body is stealing Peter to pay Paul, it's eventually, one of the vital organs is going to then give out, because that's what is the point of stealing from Peter to pay Paul, is to make sure that the vital organs are functioning, even if the rest of the body is going to hell. But if you have a major weakness in your vital organs, then yeah, and you're now heading towards mineral depletion, then there's no telling whether or not you're going to survive a stroke or survive a heart attack. And that's why people who are 44 die of heart attacks, because they already had major mineral depletion already brought to the table way early on in life. And so their lifespan was going to be 44 years old because they already had sustained a weakness in their heart. Okay? And then some people will die at 90 from a stroke or a heart attack. Okay? Because they had enough mineral reserves in their body. They are applying, they could afford modern medicine to go and manipulate their body to prolong their life. But at some point, when you're not refilling your mineral reserves, then yeah, your heart, or you'll get a stroke, your brain and all that stuff, and your blood and all that stuff, it'll finally give out. And there's be no more. And you're seeing people who are looking so old, but still walking. You're like, how the hell is she walking? It's like watching the zombie apocalypse. We have the Walking Dead. And then when you have aging people who are not willing to learn, and then they're presidents, presidents are great, but if they're that old, then they're not going to see how to apply progressive things in society that won't have to violate the Constitution, but start putting in new ideas to prolong the human race and have people understand things from a different point of view. So, being old in our society is almost like being evil, because then you're perpetuating the same thought process over and over and over again, looping and looping and looping. And so even though there's wisdom in age, there's also stagnancy in age as well. So I don't think that the elderly are someone to turn to when it comes to the future, but then neither are the children, because the children are just basically repeating the sins of the father. The children came from the elderly that are dying. You think the future's in the children? No, the future is not in the children, except for the ones that are actually inventing things, but not this Greta Thunberg, whatever the hell her name is, throwing up emotionally and them taking advantage of her neurological condition. No, people that invent plastics that, or invent metal that attracts plastic in the ocean, or other inventions from teens, I think are great. That's the future. But, you know, just overall, are the children the future? Hell no, because they came from those elderly people who haven't wanted to be progressive in their thought process. The future is in those of you who are living a relatively well-balanced life. The future is in, I'll tell you who the future's in. The future is the people here who are keeping society going. They're going to work every day, getting on Facebook every day, teaching their friends and their family. The future is not in the youth, really, and the future is not in the elderly. Because these two are one and the same. When you're decaying and developing, the youth came from the elderly. The people who could change the world are the people who are actually living and contributing, not the elderly and not the youth. Okay? And so those of you that are doing JJUs in your 40s, 50s, and 60s, or 30s, 40s, and 50s, and you're relatively okay, you're going to work and you don't have too many issues, you are the future. If you're doing JJUs, you are the future, but not your kids and not your parents. Okay? And so now is the time that we do just live in a very balanced lifestyle where we're not decaying and we're not developing. We already went through the learning process. And so then we have no more pain in the future because we already learned everything and we're not degrading. That's a pain-free life when you already learned everything and you're not actively dying. But the cult of pain mitigation is forcing people to learn everything over and over and over again and looping. And that's why you're seeing so much craziness in our society. It's because we keep, we don't want to learn. But finally now we have a chance to learn. And so for those of you who get it, right freaking on, Tiffany Lee Krim. You get it. Now we just got to stick around and prove it. Okay? Because words can only say so much. You know, you can pay lip service to something, but when you actually look at the person over a period of time, is what they're saying actually backing up? Hey, Nana, is what they're saying actually backing up what they're doing? And some people, I'm so healthy, but I'm balding, I'm overweight, or I'm so elderly and I'm degrading with health issues. You know, we have a lot of hypocrites in our world. It's time you recognize who they are. And if you don't, see you later. It was nice knowing you. But we have a chance to change the course of human history. And you can be part of it, or you can just be part of the matrix fighting each other on which pain mitigation cult is better, when it doesn't even matter which one you pick because you're going to die anyways, or which president or which party, or if George Soros is like the evil. You know, it's like, I'm over it. Do the JJUs. Bye.